Hello. Um, so it's game week 15. I wanted to try vlogging again to just try and get my thoughts out on video because I just have a lot of thoughts and I want to express them. And that's it. Don't expect this to be great content. I noticed in my last video I never look at the camera, so I should probably try and do that, although it'll probably be awkward, so maybe I won't. Anyway, so yeah, just wanted to talk about FPL, what's going on. This is the first year I've ever been really into FPL, and I love it. I seem to every game week gets better and better, and all this kind of deadline panic talk and team league stuff. I personally love it. I just get really into it. It's exciting. Some people don't, and maybe that's fair. So I don't know what the best solution is for everybody, but for me personally, I love it. I consider it all part of the game. You know, trying to guess what's going to happen, trying to guess Pep's, trying to read managers' comments, and trying to figure out what to do. So I want to talk about what happened last game week, what's possibly happening this game week, what my plan is, just deadline panic themed conversations and thoughts. So last game week we had the late news at the deadline that Haaland and Foden would be out. Right, that was it, wasn't it? Haaland and Foden are out. And I loved it. Just from a personal point of view. Again, I don't know what the fairest solution is for everybody, but from a personal point of view, I loved the whole thing. So I loved just trying to figure out if the leak was trustworthy or not. That was the first decision I had to make. Can I trust the leak? And I generally did. It was mainly I was watching FPL Raptors and FPL Let's Talk Andy's channels, and they both strike me as trustworthy people. They seem like genuine people, and their reactions seemed genuine, and they were honest about their sources. They didn't know if the sources were genuine or not, but they were convinced enough to make changes to their teams. And because I'm kind of new to FPL, so I don't know whether to trust it or not. And there was this Twitter leak. The leaker was Team News and Ticks. Never heard of him, so I didn't really know if that was genuine or not. So I had to make that decision first of all. Do I trust them? And I kind of did. And I kind of thought, okay. And when I got to that point, I was like, yeah, I think this is genuine. Okay, now I've got to move. And at that point, I had thought about changes I was going to make, but I hadn't really thought that deeply about it. And so when you suddenly get that news of Haaland and Foden both being out, I had to think quite quick. And so my lesson from last game week is to make more plans this game week, so I know what's going on. So I have plans, pre-prepared for all eventualities, which I haven't totally done this week, but I've done it a bit better this week. Anyway, so I ended up going for Foden to Saka because he was top of my list. Saka or Miggy were the two for Foden. I don't know whether I should have done it. I still don't know whether it was the best thing, because right now this game week I'm thinking about bringing Foden back in, and somebody replied to me on a comment about that, and it was knee jerk. I did a knee jerk. I just didn't know what to do. Foden's not playing. Saka's got Nottingham Forest. The clock was ticking. I just did something, you know what I mean? So, but that's the way I've been playing the game this year. I've been kind of experimenting with it, learning as I go. I just thought, it'd be fun. Let's give it a go. But yeah, so that in retrospect, I'm not sure what the best thing should have been. I mean, well, obviously now we know that Saka was injured. Obviously, it's easy to say I shouldn't have done it, but we didn't know that. So decision-wise, Saka could have hauled in Nottingham Forest, but I did suspect that I would want Foden back. But then I also didn't anticipate Tony getting his suspension and forcing one of my transfer, because I think I would have had that free transfer to bring him back if I needed to. So it's all hindsight is, it's difficult to know what you should and shouldn't have done. But that's what I did. Another part of the panic that I thought was all part of the game as well is because I did get the transfer in deliberately a few minutes before, because I anticipated that it could crash, and I've always found that to me that's part of the game as well. Like, I've always felt nervous. I've watched Let's Talk Andy sometimes. He does his transfers like right up until a few seconds before the deadline, and then he clicks them in. that makes me nervous because I think, what if something happens? What if it crashes? You get it in there early. It makes me nervous. So, um, and I think so. I mean, maybe that's because I'm a risk averse person a little bit sometimes. But anyway, I got the transfer in early. It was only about 5 minutes early. Then it crashed afterwards. Um, but that's part of the game as well, I think. And so it can happen. And it can also, obviously it turned out well for the people who tried to do Foden to Saka and didn't. Actually, they might be in a better position right now. They've ended up getting lucky with Saka getting injured. You don't really know. You have to add it all up over several game weeks. We still don't know whether that transfer, which one will work out the best until we get to game week 16 of the wild card, and then you can add it all up. But Foden to Saka, yeah, we'll see how that one works out. But at the moment, yeah, see, at the moment, I'm considering 4-point hitting Zaha to Foden back in, and I'm pretty sure that's got to be. I mean, that's mad that I just took him out and now got a 4-point hit him back in. It feels like surely that's stupid. But then at the same time, when I just look ahead, Zaha to Foden for a 4-point hit right at this moment in time seems worth it. And in hindsight, it feels like a stupid thing to do. But actually, if I go back in time to that moment when I did it, I didn't anticipate. I didn't know that Tony would get suspended. I didn't know Saka would have the injury. He might have hauled more, which would have made it more worth it. What ifs. So, but yeah, so I'm considering bringing Foden back in now. And there was what else I was going to say about the last week's panic as well. Yeah, so all this conversation about the deadline, the time of the deadline, if it should be moved closer to kickoff or further away, and the whole idea of having leaks and trying to figure out. I think some people don't enjoy that, which is fine. I do. I just think the whole thing's part of the game. I like the whole challenge of trying to figure out what to do. Yeah, I love the whole challenge of it. Like trying to guess if your player's going to start or not. It's part of the game. I guess maybe it's not the funnest part of the game, but I don't know. I still find it intellectually challenging to try and suss it out and figure it out and play the odds. That's the part that I really like. It's the odds. Trying to put a weighting on how likely is somebody going to play, how many points they're going to get, just trying to figure out a method of getting through it all. So yeah, so I found it fun. What's the fairest solution with the deadline thing? I've heard a lot of people say you should just bring it up to kickoff. That strikes. I don't actually know. I haven't thought about this deeply, but that strikes me as like a pretty good solution, or at least maybe like half an hour before, because that's enough time to get leaks. It'll be a rushed half hour, because the leaks come out. The team news comes out about an hour before kickoff, but then it's also got half an hour for FPL to update. I don't know the technicalities of how long it takes to update the game and all that kind of stuff, but maybe like half an hour before kickoff. I've heard some arguments against that, which is that it would affect your captain choice, because everybody would know that if your captain's in the early kickoff, you're going to know if they're playing or not, and then it would affect that. Maybe, but I tend to think that the whole game is full of imbalances and things like this, and so I don't have a massive grasp on the perfect solution for all of this stuff, but the whole game is a bit messy like that, and so I'm not sure if that would be a massive problem. What other problems would there be with that? Not sure. There may have been some other problems, but I think that one seems like a fair solution. Just bring it closer to the kickoff so that everybody has the early team news. Then that's fairer. But I still like this idea of. I like the idea of engaged managers getting rewarded somehow. Now, they don't have to. I don't know. There may be limits to where, but if the more engaged managers aren't rewarded at all, then what's the point in being engaged? May as well. It's just going to encourage everyone to play casually, and I don't know. Sometimes I think playing casually actually might be better off, because we tinker too much with our teams. But I feel like there should be some sort of reward for if the more effort you put into the game, the more benefit you should get. Because I was listening to the Optimized guy, CertLab, I think, or I probably butchered his name, but I think he was saying something about feeling like he'd put loads of effort and yet it wasn't showing up because it's just the luck was too bad. And it would be good to have a game where your effort pays off a little bit more. Again, I haven't thought about this massively deeply, but yeah, so I don't know. I like the idea of the engaged managers getting rewarded somehow, and being in the know and getting that team leak and being like, oh yeah, this is great. I can, if I had a better plan, it would have been even better. But I also understand that the international players, perhaps that is too unfair on them to have to get up at 2 a.m. or whatever, when I can just get it perfect timing for me. And I know it is a UK game, so to a degree, I don't know the solution for that one. Anyway, but the main thing I wanted to say about that is just that I loved it, and I love this. I love today as well. I'm excited about it. I should probably get a life, but I don't care. I love it. So today, game week 15, it's the same situation. We're trying to figure out, does Haaland and Foden play? I think most people are assuming De Bruyne is going to play, although some people have suggested he might get rested and maybe even tomorrow in game week 16 because we've got the World Cup coming. Pardon me. And Pep Roulette, you never know. There are some players in the game that are more nailed on than others. Pardon me. But Haaland and Foden and De Bruyne, I think De Bruyne is... I would rate his chances of starting pretty high. Right now, I think it looks good. So if you go to anybody who doesn't know about this, is Jump the Wave, Emma at Jump the Wave. Her Twitter is they do all these predictions of how likely they think players are going to start. They've got a whole load of predictors who are good at predicting, and the ones at the top are the best predictors, the most accurate predictors, and they predict the lineups. And she's got this hive mind thing, and they do a percentage and they figure out, of all these people predicting, the best predictors, what's the prediction of their players' likelihood chance of starting. And this week they've got Foden at 91%, Haaland at 92%, which is pretty good. That's quite in general with her normal predictions. That's quite high. Last week Gabriel was predicted at like 69%. I think it was last week, and he played because he had his potential knee injury, or he had a potential injury, and he played. So that was at 69%. But they also sometimes come wrong. So like the last 2 game weeks, I think last week. No, this was 2 weeks ago. Foden was predicted at 95%. One person didn't predict him, and he didn't play that game. And then the weekend after, Foden was predicted at 100%, and he didn't play that one either. So they were 100%. So this game week, 91% is actually the lowest of the last 3 game weeks. So you might look at that and go, oh, that's even less sure he's going to play. But I still look at it and think 91% is pretty good. 92 Haaland. So it's good. I think that's good, but there's still some doubt. My reason why I think Foden starts is not based on anything massively deep, other than the fact that I just sense that Foden he's more in the camp of being one of the better players in the Man City team. So you got KDB, Haaland, Cancelo, and Ederson are like the 4 that never get dropped. Really, you can kind of bank on them. And then, and I think Foden is in that camp as well. I suppose there's Bernardo Silva's quite good, and Rodri, but that's because he's a defensive midfielder. Yeah, and I've seen Pep talk about Foden like he's really impressed with him. He said, I saw some interview with him, and he said he compared him to Messi almost, and said he'd never seen anyone with so much potential when he was 17 or something. He's a real special player. So yeah, just that's my feeling of like Foden, and my sense is that Foden, the reason why he was dropped the last 2 games was because of what Pep said, which is just tired. He was tired probably. I saw what Sam from Inspected Goals said. He's a sports scientist, and he mentioned that it's not always just about minutes you've played. It's the sports science of fatigue is based on loads of other things, and so it could just be that Foden was just needing a break. He had 90 minutes in the Champions League. That's that doesn't change. That doesn't, that could be fine. That doesn't mean that he's not going to play this weekend necessarily. I don't think. He may have just needed the minutes, get his fitness back up again. So I am optimistic about Foden at the moment, but the only thing we're waiting for is there could be an update from it's Team News and Ticks for anyone who doesn't know. Team News and Ticks is their name. This is the following. These are the guys who apparently have the leaks, and they're reliable. They're the ones who leaked it last time. So Ticks spelled Tix. So either keep an eye on them, or I'll probably be watching Let's Talk Andy. Probably just keep an eye on him. See if there's a leak. There may not be a leak, but there may be a leak. If there is a leak, so this is where we get into my plan. So what would you do then? At the moment, if there's no leak, my hunch, I feel relatively confident that Haaland, Foden, De Bruyne all start. All the players that most people have in their team, I'm interested in. I think Haaland, Foden, De Bruyne all start. And my preferred move, because I've already done Tony to Wilson, used up my free transfer, I'm considering a 4-point hit. I did a video about this yesterday. Considering a 4-point hit for Zaha to Foden would be my ideal move. Even though my model, I went over this in my video yesterday. I've got this like 4-point hit calculator. My model says that it would actually be more beneficial to do Salah to De Bruyne. Slightly more upside, but I'm going to ignore my model and go with my hunch, which is that Zaha to Foden would be better. I would like a midfield to have Foden and Salah in, especially for next game week. That feels good, and that feels worth a 4-point hit. Of course, it could backfire. It's always the way. Zaha could get a hat-trick and Foden could blank, but it could also go very well. Zaha could blank, and I think it's more likely to go well than not well. But we don't know. We just play the odds, don't we? So that is my preferred move. If I get no news, that's what I'll do. And I'll captain Haaland. Vice captain, don't know yet. At the moment it's on Wilson. Probably will stay there to go on somebody else. Probably stay on Wilson for now, I think. Don't think I'll go for Salah. So actually I'll just have a check of this. Cancelo is the one who's predicted the next best. Foden or Cancelo, or even Saka, according to my metric, is predicted to score well even against Chelsea. But it'll probably be on Wilson. I'll have a think about it. So that's what I'm going to do if there's no news. If there is news and it's confirmed, of course I'll just carry on with that. If Foden's out but Haaland and De Bruyne play, I do have the option of doing a 4-point hit for Salah to De Bruyne, which my model says I should do. But that feels very uneasy. Salah to De Bruyne, because it's like, it feels risky. And I'm not sure, even though I said I was really in favour and really behind the idea of doing 4-point hits yesterday in my video, now that I'm getting closer to it and I'm thinking about Salah versus a weakened Tottenham who are going to be on the very defensive, they're probably going to park the bus because they've got no attacking players really apart from Kane, and Salah, he's the type of player who could nip through the gaps and he might be able to get something maybe, but if Foden's out, then De Bruyne is probably going to be the main assist guy for Haaland. so he could have a lot of potential. I may just do it. Yeah, see, I should have decided all of this stuff already, and I still haven't decided. So it might be a punt thing, and I may just... Hopefully I won't have to come to this, but if it does, I may just do De Bruyne to Salah, because that's what my model said. I might just experiment, see what happens, because I like the idea of having triple City, and I just think it's probably better. So I probably will do it. So that's what we'll do if Foden's out. If De Bruyne is out, but Foden's in, no problem, I'll do the Foden. If Haaland's out... I think he'll be in the squad. If he's on the bench, I just won't captain him. I'll probably captain... Well, if we get news, if we get news that he's on the bench. If we don't know, I'll just captain him. Take my chances. If we get news that he's on the bench, I will captain Foden. If we get the news that he's on the bench and Foden's starting, I will probably captain Foden. But I'll still play Haaland. I'll still have him on the pitch because he can still come off the bench and score. But I will probably actually look at my chart and work out, because I can adjust the minutes. If Haaland was going to play, 25 minutes? And Foden plays, he usually plays an average about 75. He's coming back, yeah, let's leave it like that. In game week 15... So this is cheating, really, isn't it? But I don't care. This is my thing. So Haaland still comes out better than Foden. De Bruyne is top now in this game week. If Haaland only comes off the bench, Haaland would still be worth captaining over Foden, for crying out loud, even in 25 minutes. I don't know whether I'd do it. Again, by the way, my model's amateur. Don't trust it too much. This is me messing around with data. I mean, I'm somewhat trustworthy of it, trusting of it so far, but I haven't really tested it yet. It's just based on a bit of XG and a bit of FPL season form. It's got a kind of bit of a recency bias. It's very form heavy, like latest form heavy. But yeah, that's interesting. I would probably still go for Foden. You can't captain Haaland if you know he's only going to be playing for like 20 minutes or something. You can't captain Haaland, surely. So yeah, I think I'd captain Foden. But that's interesting that he comes out on top. Or De Bruyne, if I had De Bruyne, but I can't get to them. I don't think I'll do that. So that is what I'll probably do. If Haaland's totally out, he's not even in the squad, I'll probably just bench him, because I want him to play next game week. I don't think I can be bothered. I mean, you could go for Kane or somebody else, or Alvarez, but I don't think I can be bothered to do that. I think I think my decision making... No, I think I looked into it. I was going to say I got decision making fatigue by that point, but I think I did look into it, and there isn't that many options. It's Kane. I could go Darwin, actually. I do like Darwin. Actually, that's something I might consider. If he was out, could possibly go Darwin and then see if I can bring him back in. Again, I should have worked all this stuff out before. I haven't fully figured that one out yet. I think because I'm assuming he's not out, he's going to play some... It sounds pretty likely he's going to be in the squad, so that's why I'm not giving that one that much thought. Yeah, so that's it. That is my plan. Yeah, don't think I've got anything more to say. I'll probably think of 100 things to say as soon as I stop the video, but I think that's all I'm going to say for today. So bye bye.